And now up on the Ron Johnson Show, my favorite, the Daily Three. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes. Take it away, Sam.
All right, we've touched on it a couple times. Deebo Samuel wants out of San Francisco. Here's my new question for you, though. Let's say that you're Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, Kevin O'Connell. You're talking things over. You're saying, let's go get this guy. What would you be willing to give up to get Deebo Samuel on your team?
A grilled cheese sandwich. I don't want him. Like, you have to be able to use this guy. Now, hypothetical, if I have to do that and I have to give up something, I'm not giving up Justin Jefferson. I'm not giving up my first-round draft pick. That's the problem with that. If you give up your first-round draft pick, and technically, this is where you're at. If there was a receiver on the board that you wanted, then yes, I would say give up the first-round pick for Deebo, and then, and try to keep it at that. Like, everybody's talking about all this extra stuff. Maybe, somebody was like Dalvin Cook in the first-round pick. Maybe, because then you get Deebo as your running back with not Mackenzie Alexander. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Madison. Yeah, Alexander Madison. I knew Alexander was in there. With Alexander Madison as your starting running back, and we know he can carry the load. He's gotten you some 100, yard games. But I honestly, I don't want to give anything up. Like, we know it's a new offense, and maybe that's my problem. I'm thinking about the old Vikings offense. This is a new offense, and this is an offense that probably could use a Deebo Samuel. But you can't afford Deebo Samuel. You can't give him the 126 to 150 million that he wants because he's seen Stephon Diggs and he's seen all these receivers, Devontae Adams, all these guys get paid. Christian Kirk. I mean, come on. Like, you're seeing all these guys get paid, and so Deebo wants to get paid, and San Fran doesn't want to do it because they're trying to figure out, is it Jimmy G? Is it Trey Lance? What are we going to do? They just don't have the money for him. So if I'm the Vikings and I'm Kwesi, I'm not doing it. I don't want them. I don't think it works. I think you can get what you can get out of those 3 receivers. Somebody tried to talk about injury prone, blah, blah. You look at Adam Thielen and Deebo Samuel. They both have missed 11 games since 2019. So you get the same amount. I just think Deebo's injury, one being on the West Coast as a Vikings person in the Midwest, we don't see that a lot. So we really didn't notice the games Deebo missed. Adams felt like they were gut-wrenching because they were in times where we really needed him to be healthy, and then he was out. And then it was kind of on TV where he tried to come back and get hurt again. So I think that's why we noticed the 11 games Thielen missed. But you can't really look at how to quantify what Deebo could give you without understanding the offense. So that's more of understanding what Kevin O'Connell is trying to do. But again, I go back to the money. I don't want to give up Dalvin Cook. Like, he's a guy that Kevin O'Connell did not have with the Rams. And so now you give a running game to that passing game. I'd say let's go draft a corner. I don't think I want Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on that for 2 reasons. Number one, it's implied that if you acquire them in a trade, you are going to pay them. So the money is a huge issue. But then if Deebo is getting paid $150 million and Justin Jefferson needs to get extended in a year or 2, he's going to want more than that.
Correct.
So suddenly you got
$300 million for 2 receivers
so heavily. And yeah, bye Thielen. I mean, you're not keeping Thielen with that money on the books either. So I don't think. And also,
I don't think you keep Thielen with Deebo. That's the other problem. Like, if you bring Deebo in, you probably got to let Thielen go and try to find a team or maybe you trade him to the 49ers with Deebo. I mean, I don't think that many receivers can't coexist with that amount of money because Thielen, yes, he renegotiated, but it's still a lot of money.
Yeah, well, also, isn't Deebo upset about how much he was used as a running back? That's part of his value. He was like a top 5 running back and a top 5 wide receiver. But if he doesn't want to get the ball as a running back, well, that also decreases what I think he's worth. So I don't want that issue.
What he's thinking was his value was decreased as a receiver because of, he became a gimmick guy, and is there a value on the market for that? And that's where he's trying. I think that's where he was a little bit upset, was if he just play receiver, which he's not thinking straight because now you are a Swiss Army knife. But if he just play receiver and all those yards were, receiver-esque like Tyreek Hill, then he would get a bigger contract. I think that's where he's going with it.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Next topic. So Kyler Murray is, speaking of disgruntled stars, he is still not in great terms with Arizona. It doesn't seem like he's holding out from offseason activities. How will things get resolved with Kyler Murray in Arizona?
I think drafting what he wants, maybe. I don't really know what's going on. I do know, when you lose guys to free agency, Larry Fitzgerald, is not coming back. You look at all the things and pieces he's losing. I think it's like, he's maybe saying, hey, go get Deebo or go get DK Metcalf. I think he wants a star. Like he wants a guy. And so my guess is he's just not happy. Kind of like Aaron Rodgers. Like he's not happy with what's going on in the front office and some of the moves that are being made. But that's the problem. Like, and again, the NBA, you have a lot more power. When you're LeBron James and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, you can do whatever you want. Like Jerry West right now is pissed off that Magic Johnson is making him look bad on his new whatever it's called, docuseries, The Winning Time. Yeah. So I mean, NBA players can do that kind of stuff. Football players, you can't really make fun of owners and GMs, and you can't flex your muscle because you're a dime a dozen. And that's where the Cardinals might be like, look, man, we can go get Malik Willis and we can move on from you because my offense is potent. It's legit. I just need a guy. I think Desmond Ridder could fit into that offense with the Cardinals, the way they, keep the guy moving. Now, Kyler Murray definitely created a lot of that with the arm strength, the speed, but he's so tiny. He's so little. Like, you can't get the basic. And that's what you saw from the Cardinals is when it became basic time, like just sit back and throw a slant, sit back, throw a hitch, sit back, throw a deep over. He can't do it. He can't see. Like, he doesn't know where the guys are. So he's throwing into dead space, hoping that the guy is there. I don't know how they resolve it besides drafting what he wants, like Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't be surprised, like the Packers trying to make Aaron Rodgers even happier and drafted 2 receivers this year. I think that's or go get Deebo Samuel. Again, you got Aaron Rodgers on a huge contract. I don't think they have the money for Deebo. But yeah, when you look at Kyler Murray, I think it's drafting what he wants. I think it's doing what he wants. And that's up to now the coaches and the GM. Like, do we want to do that? Are we going to cave to this guy? Or are we just going to, say, you know what? Let's go draft a quarterback. And that's what this next week is going to be about. GMs, they're going to have to make decisions, and coaches, and then they got to go from there. And there's some other suitors out there for Trey Lance. Like, or Jimmy G even. The 49ers, don't be surprised because they're sneakily behind the scenes trying to figure out who's our quarterback. And if we can get value now before we lose them to their contracts or free agency, why not do that? So if they know they don't want to keep Trey Lance and they want to extend Jimmy G, or vice versa, Trey Lance is the future and they want to get some for Jimmy G, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets moved as well.
Yeah, I think with Kyler, I think it's just dollar signs. I think this is the start of players wanting to get paid a year earlier.
Yep.
Kyler's obviously got he's got the 5th-year option, but I think he wants to get paid after year 3, which is right now. And I think that Arizona will look in the mirror and say, are we going to find a better, more athletic, like more explosive quarterback than this? Probably not, even though he does have limitations with his size. Yep. So I think it resolves with him getting paid.
Yeah. All
right. Daily 3 continues. Who is your favorite to win the NBA Finals at this point after what you've seen in the playoffs so far?
Man, that's a tough one. My quick twitch, and I hate to be a homer, but my quick twitch now with Devin Booker out, or not out, but we don't know how long, the Warriors. Like, I like the way the Warriors are built. The fact that Steph Curry can come off the bench when he has to. They're just getting warmed up. They got hot at the right time, kind of like the North Carolina Tar Heels. As an AFC, they got hot at the right time. They beat Duke twice to get to the championship. They beat Duke in Coach K's final game. They got hot. The Warriors that's where they are. Steph Curry is getting hot at the right time. Jordan Poole is giving them enough, to kind of say, you know what, if Klay can't give it to you, or if Draymond can't give it to you, let's do it. And Draymond's kind of playing his role. He's like, look, I got 3 ballers out there now. I got Jordan Poole, I got Klay, and I got Steph. Like Jordan Poole is kind of taking on that, and he's not Kevin Durant, but he's taking on that role as like the third guy, the guy that, you know what, if you're going to worry about Steph, kick it to me. I'm going to knock the shot down. I'm going to get to the lane. And he's having fun. So I kind of say the Warriors because I just don't have faith in the Heat. I think the way that, Jimmy Butler, the way the Heat are playing right now, I do think they can come out the East. Giannis to me has shown vulnerability in like teams forcing him to shoot. Also, teams willing to stand in front and get run over by a freight train because he's out of control when he Euro steps. He almost travels even. Chris Middleton just got hurt with right knee soreness or left knee soreness. I think it was left knee, one of the knee soreness. Like, there's so much to this. The Grizzlies, again, I just don't see the Grizzlies getting past the Warriors or the Suns. I just don't think the Grizzlies have it. I kind of like the Warriors. I think they can win it.
Yeah, I love the Warriors out of the West. I think that's a good call. I kind of like the Celtics, though, to win the whole thing. I don't necessarily trust the Heat as the 1 seed in the East. I've watched the Celtics now against the Nets 2 games. They defend really well.
They do.
And this is a great test for them in round 1 because the Nets are legit. If they can get past the Nets, and it looks like they are now up 2-0 in the series, come from behind win last night, big time. Tatum and Brown late in the game, I trust them completely. They're just they're alpha dogs.
Yeah.
I think that Boston can do it on both ends of the floor. I think that the Celtics are my pick.
Yeah, and they're a quiet 1-2 punch with Brown and Tatum. I mean, Tatum, I watched that game as well, and I thought the Nets had it because they were up big early, and coming into the half, the Celtics start chipping away at it, and you saw the Heat. You saw that they went on a heater, and they came out in the second half, and Tatum was absolutely ridiculous. Like his play, and like you said, it starts with defense, but Al Horford right in that corner in the perfect spot when they drive and they're going to crash. Al Horford is a big, outside stretch wing or stretch forward, whatever you want to call him, knocking down threes. Like that's where, and I go back to the Timberwolves, that's what Beasley has to be. He has to be able to be out there in that corner to knock down the three whenever Anthony Edwards or Karl-Anthony Towns is driving and getting double. But yeah, I do like the Celtics, but Celtics Warriors, I think that could be a good one. But yeah, I was hoping the Nets. I do like the 76ers though, but I don't know how many game-winning threes Joel Embiid can hit. So that's why I'm going to go with the Warriors. So I like the Celtics though. So it's going to be an interesting finals. It's early on. There's some good games, but we should have some fun down the stretch.